and I came in today to do my review of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 6, Episode 2. Now, this episode opens up right where it left off with Stevie and Jocelyn sitting down to talk about everything that has happened in the last 6 months. Now, Jocelyn had already told us that she only saw Stevie one time while she was pregnant. And she's telling him that she never thought that she would go through her pregnancy alone. And basically, Stevie tells her, look, it's all the stuff that you said. You know, you threw some accusations out there on social media. You even went so far as to say that I molested Eva. You know, you were doing stuff that was reckless. You know, you were out here with all these guys, and this is the reason why, I didn't want to have anything to do with you. Stevie J says that basically by her being out here with all those guys, he wasn't sure if he was the father. And on some level, I agree with Stevie because Jocelyn was acting in a manner that was making Stevie jealous or trying to make him jealous or trying to make him think that, she was out there with other guys. So he would have some, suspicions that maybe it wasn't his. But during all of this, Jocelyn started crying. Stevie kind of caved a little bit and basically said, you know what? When she was out of sight and out of mind, it was easier for me to say, I'm not going to take the DNA test. But when he sat there with her, he decided to go ahead and take it. And pretty much that was the end of their scene. They were trying to pretty much hash out, him taking that DNA test. That's all Jocelyn wanted from him. Now, the next scene, we see Jasmine and Rod. Now, Jasmine is the girl that's claiming that Kurt is the father of her baby. And she is with Rod, who is Mimi's ex, who Mimi says is a scam artist. Now, she lets us know that her baby is 4 months old. She is sitting down talking to Rod, telling him that she had went to a masquerade party. While she was there, she was in the company of some of Kurt's friends. She had some drinks. They were questioning her about who her baby's father was, and she went ahead and spilled the beans. She basically told them that Kurt was the father. Now, here's what was a little weird to me because look, she was with one guy that was in jail, and then in the meantime, she's having an affair with a married man, gets pregnant, has a baby by him, and the guy in jail is okay with that. That's a little weird. So I'm kind of believing what Mimi says about, this guy not being so cool because normally a guy in jail, he leaves a girl on the outside. He expects when he comes back, she's still his woman. Now, this girl is still the woman, but she got a baby by a married man, and he seems to be okay with it. He's saying that, Kurt, maybe she shouldn't have told him. She should have left it as it is. Basically, he's telling her, you knew Kurt was going to do this. I don't even really know why you told them. Which the whole situation is weird because Kurt is denying everything, and we'll talk about that later. Now, the next scene is with Tommy. Now, y'all, I believe Tommy is going to be like a new major character on the show because Tommy has a lot of issues that they can explore. Now, we know that if we saw Tommy go into the police station with Stevie and she never came out. Basically, they arrested her over all the stuff that went on with Jocelyn. Tommy is a little pissed off because she said that when she was in jail, she was calling everybody and nobody would take her calls, mainly her mother. So we see her walk into a house and a woman is sitting on the couch and she says that that's her mother. She says, hey, mom. And basically, she sits down and said, why didn't you take my calls? And the mother is trying to play like kind of coy, like, you called here? And Tommy was like, if you had picked up the phone, you would have known that was me. I had to bail myself out of jail. So you could tell that Tommy is a little pissed off with her mother. Now, while they're sitting there talking, there's a knock on the door, and this guy Jerry comes in, who Tommy says is her personal bail bondsman. Child, this girl has been in jail so many times and has so many mugshots that she has a personal bail bondsman on retainer to help her get out of jail when she gets in trouble. So he comes in and she, has to pay him. And while she's doing that, she's telling him, I had all kinds of trouble getting out of jail. My mother would not even, pick up the phone, take my call to help me out. So the mother is like, "Are you mad at me?" And Tommy was like, "What do you think?" Basically telling her you could have helped me. One thing led to another, and they ended up in a fucking argument where they're calling each other bitches and um about to lunge at each other and break out in a fight. Y'all, I was sitting there like, wait a minute. Tommy and her mother are, you know, have these kind of problems. Tommy even says that, how many times have I bailed you out of jail? You ain't never been a mother to me. She lets you know that she's been in and out of group homes and her mother could have stepped in and helped her and she didn't. And basically she's been raising herself since she was 15 years old. Now these two are so mad at each other that production has to step in and kind of tear them apart. They take the mother out one doorway and take Tommy out the other doorway. And basically, in the ending of the scene, Tommy ends the scene by calling her mother a bitch. So I think in Tommy's story, there is a lot to explore there. And I think that's why they have her in the opening credits, because this whole situation with her mother, there is a lot there. And I was just like, oh my God. Now, the next scene, y'all, is Mama D. And I think Mama D was filming a video, and she has this new short hair, and I think she looks better with this short hair, y'all. When she was on screen, it actually kind of made her look a little bit younger. Now, in this scene with Mama D, Ernest is there, and of course, Mama D is still bashing him, saying that he, is not helping her. She's paying all the bills and he's not doing all the things that a man should be doing. Now, Ernest says that he has been dealing with some health issues and he has not been able to do physically the things that he wants to do and needs to do for his wife. Now they sit down and talk. They go into a restaurant, sit down and talk, and Mama D is just going back and forth at him, telling him to get himself together, blah blah blah. So I guess at this point, Ernest figures we're arguing. This is as good a time as any to tell her that, my mother is coming back to Atlanta. She's leaving where she is and she's moving back to Atlanta. Now, Mama D instantly gets an attitude. You could tell that Mama D and his mother do not get along. So, she tells him basically, your mother's coming back. I'm already dealing with all the shit with you, and now we're going to throw your mother in. And she was telling him that, he was a mama's boy, and every time his mother calls, he drops everything, and he really should have her as number one in his life. And she goes on to tell him, your mother can't do to you all the things that I can do. So Ernest tries to say, I'm not going to, stop taking my mother's calls and everything. And then Mama D turns around and say, if your mother can do to you what I do to you, then maybe we should have a threesome. Y'all, this woman is a raving lunatic. That shit was funny when she was saying that. And Ernest was like, you know what? I'm going to disregard that pretty much. And this is my wife. I'm going to try to make it work. Child, Mama D and Ernest, they be tripping me out. Now, y'all, in the next scene, we see Jocelyn. And Jocelyn is going to talk to this new character, Melissa. And basically, she's telling Melissa that the meeting with Stevie J went well. She was surprised they were able to sit down and talk. She even goes on to say that, after that, Stevie J, I guess, called her and she went over to the house and, they just further talked and smoothed out everything. So Melissa was like, wait a minute, you went over to the house? Wait a minute, did y'all smash when you went over there? So Jocelyn was like, no, it wasn't all that. We literally just sit down and talk, and I feel better about the situation. Now, Jocelyn also, though, says that even though the meeting went well and, they even talked afterwards, that she still has some doubts. So what she did is she kind of took out a little insurance. So she goes in her bag and pulls out this little plastic bag, and in it, y'all, is some of Stevie drawers. Child, this woman done took some drawers out his house that he has worn so she can get the DNA off of it. If he doesn't go take the DNA test, she's going to take his damn drawers to the DNA center. Y'all, when she put out them drawers, I was like, this bitch is loonier than a tune. These people on this show crack me up, y'all. And then the next scene was Carly Red and Jasmine. And basically, Carly Red meets with Jasmine to find out, if all this stuff about Kurt is true. So Jasmine tells her, yes, I know him. I know him very well. She said that she met him while she was dancing in a strip club. One thing led to another. They started dating. They started screwing. She got pregnant. She said that he was in her life. He was coming to see her, see his baby and everything. He even bought him and Rashida's baby Carter over to meet her baby. Y'all, Kurt is a dirty motherfucker. If this shit is true, Kurt is dirty. Well, Jasmine goes on to say that, he called her and everything and was texting her. And so Carly Red was like, well, let me see the number that he was calling you and texting you from, because I know his number. So Jasmine goes on to tell her, wait a minute, he has a separate phone that Rashida knows nothing about. So this number that he's calling me from and texting me from, you're not going to know that number because he has another phone. She says that he moved her in the same building that Rashida and him have an apartment in. He gave her a car, to get around, I guess with the baby. She even shows Carly Red proof of like an insurance policy, or I guess health insurance that Kurt got for the baby. This girl had all kind of receipts. And y'all, I don't know if this is a fabricated story, but this is not looking too good for Kurt, because this girl came with receipts. Now, in the meantime, while Carly Red is meeting with Jasmine, Jock decides to meet with that Rod. So basically, Jock is saying, normally I don't get into this he say, she say stuff and this gossip, but because this big bombshell was dropped on us about Kurt, I wanted to see, if this shit is true. So he meets with Rod. Now, y'all know Rod is living with Jasmine. And basically, Jock says, wait a minute, man, is all this stuff true? So Rod gives Jock the 411, and he says, yeah, this is true. While I was in jail, my girl Jasmine started messing around with Kurt. He said that Kurt was very careless about his marriage, didn't act like, it really meant anything. He even went so far as to tell Jasmine that he was leaving Rashida. Rod knows that Kurt moved Jasmine into a building, has been helping her financially and everything. And even knows that Kurt was taking Jasmine around his family. I forgot to say that. Y'all, Kurt is so bad and such a son of a bitch that he took Jasmine, his mistress, around his family behind Rashida's back. Y'all, this shit is, oh my God, he is something else. Now, y'all, a lot of people believe this storyline is fabricated. And what I say about that is, if Kurt and Rashida, for money, would put their marriage out on Front Street like that, they are, you know what, they deserve whatever they get. Because if I had been married 17 years and they came to me with a storyline like that, I don't think that I would want my husband put out there as a notorious cheater with a baby on the side, and me being a simple bitch accepting everything that he's doing. So if Kurt and Rashida are doing this for money, then you know what, y'all, hell with them, because that shit is crazy. Now, the next scene, we see Mama D, and she's going to meet with Scrappy. She wants to talk to Scrappy about all the problems that she's having with Ernest, and the fact that now, on top of that, Ernest is moving his mother back to Atlanta. Now, in this meeting, Scrappy tells her, hey, look, I got problems too. Me and Bambi, we're not having good, times right now. Actually, it's so bad that I packed my shit and I went to stay in a hotel. So Mama D, she's saying, well, look, it took me a long time to get with the Bam, and now y'all having problems and y'all supposed to get married. And basically, Scrappy tells her, yeah, I don't know where we are. We've been arguing over stupid shit. I really can't even put my finger on what it is, but we're having problems. So Mama D says, well, look, let's all get together and sit down and talk. I'm having problems with Ernest. Maybe if we go have dinner and we all sit down as a family, we can kind of work out some of these problems. So Scrappy agrees to do it, even though he doesn't think it's going to help him and Bambi's situation. Now, in the next scene, y'all, we see Tommy again. Like I said, y'all, I believe Tommy is starting to be a major part of this cast. So she's going to meet with Karen King. Now, y'all know Karen is Scrap DeLeon's mother. And basically, she's talking about, I just got out of jail. She tells Karen again that, nobody would help her, not even her mother. She tells Karen, all the problems I have with my mother. And Karen tells her something like this. Look, your mother got issues. Your mother is an alcoholic and she's dealing with her own problems. Once you kind of ease up on her and, maybe if y'all just take some time and stop being at each other's throat, that y'all can get to some form of mother-daughter relationship. But honestly, after seeing that scene where they were calling each other bitches and hoes and all that stuff, I think there's some deep-seated issues between Tommy and her mother, and I don't think that what Karen is telling her is good advice. They need to work out the root of the problems, and I believe that the problem is because Tommy's mother didn't raise her. And Tommy had it hard growing up out in the street, and she kind of resents her mother for all the problems that she's gone through in her life. So the next thing we see Stevie, he's coming home, and when he opens his door, there is a suitcase, some clothes, some shoes, leading all through his house. So he's like, oh shit, did I sit down and talk to Jocelyn, and now Jocelyn done moved her shit back in? She's come home or thinking me and her getting back together. But as he looks at the clothes and the shoes that are laying around, he realizes, wait a minute, these are not Jocelyn's stuff. This is somebody else's stuff. So when he turns the corner or climbs the stairs in his house, he realizes it's his daughter, Savannah. Now, Savannah is saying that she's decided to come live with Daddy, and she's going to finish high school online and all of this. And you could tell Stevie is not really down for this. You could tell he loves his daughter, but he doesn't think that the best place for her to be is with him. And he also realizes that if she made this trip to Atlanta, there's something going on with her and her mother. Now, not only has Savannah moved in, but she's bought her little dog, and she's bought this girl that was in the background by the name of Lyric. Now, y'all, I ain't trying to be funny, but Lyric kind of looks like a boy girl. Like she might be a little lazy. And, I'm not trying to talk about this child, but there's something there, because why did this Lyric come all the way to Atlanta with Savannah to stay with Daddy? That is a little odd there, y'all, and I wonder what y'all think about it. So we're moving on. The next scene is Mama D and her sit down with the family. So we see Ernest there with his mother, Bessie, and you could tell Mama D is not feeling it, and she's throwing little innuendos at Bessie. And y'all, I don't think Ernest's mother, Bessie, is going to be pushed around by Mama D, because it seems like she got a little fire in her. Because at one point, Mama D has said something about how Ernest jumps every time the mother calls, and she feels like the mother is too much in their business, and she's telling her son what to do and all that stuff. And basically, Ernest's mother tells Mama D, you don't tell me how to talk to my son. You don't tell me when I can talk to him, or what he should do when it comes to me. So I was sitting there thinking, you know what, Mama D, you basically are getting back what you do in Scrappy's life because you overstep your bounds too. And also, I didn't feel like Ernest was wrong for if his elderly mother called him for something, for going over there and helping his mom. I mean, I think Mama D just feels like that she should be number one in his life, but she has to realize that Ernest has an elderly mother that he wants to take care of. Now, in the meantime, Scrappy comes in without Bambi. And Mama D said, well, I thought it was going to be you and the Bam. And basically, Scrappy says, you know what? I didn't want to fuck with her right now. I decided to come alone. Like I told you, stuff is not going right between us, and this was not the time. So Mama D turns her attention back to Ernest and his mother. And she said, you know what? I'm done with this situation. So she gets up and proceeds to pull something out. She tells them, I got something for y'all. Now, y'all know when Mama D start pulling out bags and shit, and she's telling people that she got something, it normally is something crazy. And y'all, why this crazy bitch pull out a pacifier, a diaper, and a onesie? I was like, Mama D, girl, if you ain't about dramatic. Basically, she's telling Ernest, you a mama's boy. Here's your shit that you need, when you are a mama's boy. But like I said, y'all, I don't think Ernest is wrong. He might need to learn how to juggle, taking care of his mom and having a demanding wife because basically I think Mama D is a little bit overbearing. But also on the other hand, I think Ernest liked that little fire in her. So, they kind of made for each other. I see why they're back together. He loves that crazy bitch. Now, the next scene we see Rashida and Carly Red. Now, Rashida says that Carly has been calling her, but, she really wasn't ready to take the call. She said she knew that Carly Red had been present when all the stuff went down with Jasmine, telling everybody that Kurt had been, was her baby's father. So they sit down. Carly Red proceeds to tell her everything that Jasmine told her. Now, y'all, in this scene, to me, Rashida was a little bit too calm. Now, she broke a few tears, but it seemed like to me, Carly Red was crying worse than what Rashida was, and that kind of makes me side with the people who say that this whole storyline with Rashida and Kurt might be fake. But on the other hand, y'all, what couple would allow a television show to do this to their marriage? What woman would want her husband to be portrayed as a cheating, lying bastard with a baby? And then what woman would want herself portrayed as a stupid bitch? So, eventually Rashida, she takes in what Carly Red told her, and, she goes home, and you see a scene where Rashida is cooking and Kurt is coming home. His dumb ass think everything is okay because he got a little wife in the kitchen cooking and everything. So she tells him when he comes in, food is ready, go ahead and sit down. And then when they sit down to dinner, she basically tells him, you might want to say your prayers. So his dumb ass says it. And then when he gets finished, she proceeds to tell him everything that Carly Red told her that Jasmine said about him being over there, about the apartment, about him having a video with this Jasmine of him holding the baby and Jasmine referring to him as daddy. And pretty much that ends the show. Y'all, I don't know if this is going to pan out that Kurt is the father, but to me, it's looking like this might be true, y'all. Let me know what y'all think, and I appreciate y'all hanging with me through this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.